So we will be a chavruta today, it seems, until someone else will join us, or um, we'll just have the session here today on our own.
Okay.
So, okay, so I will do share screen,
Okay.
and I planned a PowerPoint today, which will help me guide the lesson, and hopefully, okay, here we go. Shmirat Lashon is the Hebrew word. You knew how to use it very well. Um, Last time when I met with people on during Rabbi's class, I explained the word Shmirat Halashon. So were you there? Did you hear this, or should I just repeat it quickly?
Um, Lashon is the speech, and Shmirat, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's that we have to be careful about our speech. No?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. So last time I explained that the word shmirah comes from the root shamar, three letters, a shin, which is the sh sound, and the mem, which is a m sound, and the reish, which is a r sound. The word shamar, or the root shamar, constructs a word that means guarding.
Ah, like
Guarding.
למשל, שומר ישראל.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
good, very good. So the shomer could be a watch guard in that matter of someone who um, a shomer would be an army soldier who was guarding a base, would be called a shomer. But like shomer Israel would be Hashem, or a God watching over the nation in a loving manner, in a taking care of manner, in a way that a mother will take care of her baby. So it's not only guarding bad things out, but it's also nurturing and taking care of. Okay, so there's the avoiding the bad, but also nurturing towards the good. So it's the two aspects of the same. And the other thing is that in Hebrew, when you have roots, word roots, there are three letters. I don't know how it works in German, but I know a little bit of German.
Yeah, that's a shorish of a word in Hebrew, yes?
Yes, the root, the shorish. Yeah. Are there shorish in German, in the German language?
Wurzel. We say the German meaning is Wurzel.
Yeah, I know the word Wurzel, but I'm referring to a root of a word, which means you take a word and you break it down to a root, to the basic three letters, that all the conjugations of the word come from those three letters. Like shamar, shamarti, shamartim, shamartim. It's like, so, but the three basic letters are there in every one of the words. I know that I know a little bit of German, so anyway, and it's a whole different story. But when you switch around the letters in Hebrew from the same root, let's say that we said it was shin mem re shamar, but if you turn around the letters and you mish them together and you put them in a different order, it happens many times, and this is very special for Hebrew, that the other words that you can create from those three letters add to the understanding of the word. For example, if you switch around the three letters that do shamar, you will find the word rasham, rasham instead of shamar. But rasham means to write down. Okay, when a person writes something down, he makes it. There's a difference between talking and writing, which means the writing makes something lofty into a fact, right? It's there. It cannot be, it's evidence. And when a person speaks, he creates a reality in the world. It's as if he writes it down in reality. So our speaking, we guard our speech because our speech creates reality. Okay, so there's something really mystical about that, because what does it mean? Does it create reality? But think, if you tell a child enough times, you're so terrific, you're so wonderful, he can change his reality because of that. He grows up to be a wonderful kid because he knows that people believe in him. And if you keep on telling him things like you're a naughty boy and you're doing everything wrong and you're a no good, he'll grow up to many times be that, because you're creating the reality. So our mouth is one of these tools that helps us create a reality in this world. And therefore, we need guidelines for this pure speech that we need, because we have to, we need to realize what power we have in our mouth. The philosophers ranked the creations in the world, and so there's things that don't move, and then there are plants and animals, and then they say the thinking man. But the Jewish tradition doesn't say the thinking man, but the speaking man, because to think still is somewhere that we don't know for 100% that the thinking only belongs to people, or maybe other creatures think in a certain way, but we speak, we communicate through speech, through developed speech, and therefore this is very unique for the human being. Okay, so we are going on to the next. Let's see if I can move this on. Okay. So the origins.
Sarah, יש לך עוד מישהו שם.
Hello. I welcome Raquel. I see another guest that we have tonight.
Thank you.
Hi. Nice to meet you. I'm glad to have you in the
Hi.
shiur.
Me too.
Okay. So we are going into the shiur, into the lesson, and we are starting from the origins of the law of pure speech. So as we know, the origins of the Torah, or so to say, the origins of all the laws that we have as a nation, come from the Torah. So the laws are written inside the Torah, and they're written in different places. So there are different scattered hints or laws that can bring us to understand the whole matter and guidelines of the pure speech. But as we know, the Torah is a written Torah. The one I'm referring to is the written Torah. It's over there. And we also have together, the same time that we were given the written Torah, we were also given the oral Torah. And we cannot do the Torah, we cannot practice the Torah only if it's written, because there are so many things that are unclear, and they don't give details. And as we know, everything is about details of how to do it. It's not enough to say, if you don't like the woman, let her go. Like, what does that mean, let her go? Right? It's like the whole matter of divorce is very detailed, and how do we marry, and what do we need to say, and what is the ceremony like, and all these things come through the oral Torah that will explain the rules. And this was handed down to us by Moshe in the Sinai mountain. And we believe in both these Torahs in the same way, which means one is not more correct than the other, one is not preferred upon the other. They come together, and we believe in them in the same manner. So the oral Torah explains the laws in the written Torah. And there were, throughout the generations, people who wrote about this mitzvah, about this, you know what a mitzvah is? Is it a word that I'm using that is Jewish language?
Yeah, but I know.
Yeah, it's commandment.
Yes, it's a commandment. Good. Thank you. It's a commandment, and it's something that we do, that we were ordered. Yeah, I guess that's a good word, commandment. Thank you. So there wasn't really one book that brought all the sources together that was able to explain or bring into the full manner of this commandment, which is interesting, because this is a very, very significant mitzvah. It is so significant that our sages tell us how essential it is for our life, and he compares it to different types of mitzvot that we have, and he shows how important it is in comparison to these other mitzvot. And throughout the generations, people learned it, but sometimes, how we talk here, we talk there, and we don't pay too much attention to what we say and how we say it. And I think there wasn't enough emphasis on it. And along came a rabbi called the Chafetz Chaim. That wasn't his name, actually, His name was Rabbi Yisrael Meir HaKohen from Radin. And Yisrael means Israel, of course. Meir comes from the word or. You know what or is in Hebrew?
That's light.
Light.
Light,
Light.
correct. So Meir, Yisrael Meir, it means that Israel lights. And I don't know if his parents meant for them to be, but they do say that when a parent gives a name to his child, there's just like a bit of prophecy inside over there. They don't know the child yet, but they, in a way, the name they give him has some prophecy within it. And he does light the eyes of Israel by teaching us this important book. He was a Kohen, which means it's a level of responsibility. I don't know if you know what a Kohen is, but I won't go into it now. And he came from a city called Radin. So I'm going to move on to this. So again, he took his, like the big thing of the Chafetz Chaim is that he found all the sources in the Bible. He collected them. He put them according to order, and he gave very, very specific, clear teachings, instructions of all the scattered instructions that were from the whole Torah. So he gathered them and he put them in one book. And his book was special because he understood that when people come to study, then if he starts giving reasons behind it and he starts giving the philosophy behind it, he's going to lose listeners. So he wrote two books. One book is called Shmirat HaLashon, which is like the rules. And the other one, he shows from every one of the rules where he took it from. And he calls it Be'er Mayim Chayim, which means the well of live water. And we know that the water is compared to the Torah is compared to water and the live water. So he says that's where I actually pulled out the law from. So I interpret it to you in my book, but the laws are all gathered so you can see where I took it from. It's not made up. I didn't just add things that don't belong and bring in my own ideas. This is all written down. This is all a law. And according to the Torah, these are things we need to follow. So I will just show you the picture of the Chafetz Chaim. Some people say he doesn't look like this, but other people say that he does. You can look up in the internet and see different faces and see for yourself if it looks like him or not. But I find that it's a kind picture. So Rabbi Yisrael Meir Kohen from Radin was born somewhere between 1833 and 1838. I guess birthdays were less significant at the time, and therefore we don't have an exact date. Different encyclopedias about him say different things, but it's a 5-year span, so it doesn't really make much of a difference. He lived to be 90-something years old. He lived a long life. People tell about him that he was a very talkative person, which is quite special. Why do you think it's special that he was a talkative person?
Because
Timothy, welcome. Sorry.
Because he taught about pure speech, and he talked a lot.
So why would that be something that was uncommon or maybe contradictory, or I don't know, something like, would you expect a person who teaches about pure speech to be a talkative person?
Well, I don't know where it comes from, but talking about when to be careful with your speech, slow to speech and stuff. I don't know.
Yes, it is. But what I'm saying, besides what you're saying, yes.
Yeah, I think that most people that are talkative, because you said that he was talkative, right?
So they say in tradition that he
wasn't. I think that people that
quiet.
Yeah. Well, normally people. Well, I think that people that talk a lot, they have no boundaries what they talk about. So if a rabbi he was talkative, he arrived to master the way to talk, and that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I like your answer very much. So you're saying that because he was able to master what he was teaching, he wasn't afraid of speaking. Yeah. And I will say, not only was he not afraid of speaking, but maybe he was trying to set an example of how much you can be a talkative person, and it's okay. You don't have to stop talking in this world. You can continue talking. You just have to learn the rules. Very good.
Which is very hard.
Yes, it is a mastery. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about him a little bit more. I'll just say that at the age of 14, he was already known um, throughout the city or throughout the people who were with him that he was a genius. He had extraordinary skills and he was very blessed with a lot of abilities. And he became a very, very respected rabbi. His teachings encouraged modern attitudes toward variant issues. At the time, women were less encouraged to go study, and he said, no, women need to go study. There are new winds blowing out there with education for women, and if we keep the girls home and they don't get to go to get educated, they're not going to get knowledge and they're not going to know how to cope with this world. We live in a world, we have to learn how to manage in it and how to know what's happening in its importance. And he actually encouraged the religious education for girls, that it would be wider, that girls should leave their homes in order to study in day school, not necessarily over boarding schools, but just that they shouldn't just be learning from their mothers as it was until then. Okay, if girls stayed home, he encouraged them to go to school and study. He wrote many important books explaining the oral Torah. An extremely important book, which is learned very seriously today, is one of his greatest achievements. Again, helping people get down to the bottom line of halacha. Halacha is like the way we actually live our life. Jewish religious people who follow the Torah, we have like a bottom line. There are many discussions about how to lead a life of a Torah. Right? There are many ideas and discussions, but when I get to an issue, I need to know what to do. So the halacha is the bottom line of the discussion, of the whole idea, of the philosophy. And at the end, I need to know, am I allowed to do this or not allowed to do this according to the law? How should I act? And that's halacha. So he understood that the processes were to do what he did, you have to really know so much and to remember so much. And remember, this is not a Google time where you go into the computer and go Google what's the answer, and then you get all of the books you want. And there are no libraries around there. So he really had to learn from his rabbis and remember all this material to be able to make this compilation or this book. And it's learned until today. It's really considered one of the main important books that we have of halacha today, which even emphasizes more. Such a great rabbi who writes such great books, why is he catching on to this one mitzvah and making such a big deal about it? Like, why does he, from all people, decide to give such emphasis to this mitzvah? So this mitzvah is compared to 3 other mitzvot, which are the essentials. One of them is worshiping a different God, keeping the purity of what is it called when you don't marry? Ancestry is it called? Not okay. I'm getting mixed up between idolatry and adultery. So when you're supposed to, there are certain people you don't marry, like sister, mother, grandmother. Those are like out of the realm of who a person can marry, right? So it's how would that be called? Idolatry or adultery?
I'm not sure.
Actually, that is forbidden relations.
Right. So that's a better word. Okay. Forbidden relations between people. So we're comparing killing, forbidden relationships, and worshiping idols. Those are the 3 essentials, the big ones. There are 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach, and our sages tell us that shmirat lashon, keeping our language, is just as important as those 3. It creates a life. Our tongue can create life, like we said before, but it could also destroy a life. And therefore, how does it exactly connect to those 3 mitzvot, or to those 3 things that we're not allowed to do? Killing someone, worshiping an idol, or having forbidden relationships, because we're talking about the dignity of a person. A dignified person who respects a life does not take the life of somebody else. A person that has value in the world does not take a stone or a piece of gold and say, you created the world, you rule the world. It does not give dignity to a person's intelligence, or this is something that God demands us not to do, to recognize that he is the Lord. And the third thing would be forbidden relations, which is something that helps a person stay dignified, is to realize hierarchy. And what is a person sent here to the world is to follow the ways of God and to act like God. And God has rules, and therefore the person needs to follow them. We don't just do what we want with whoever we want, whenever we want. There are certain guidelines, and we keep ourselves pure in body and in mind. And those three things, as well as speaking clear language, all make sure that we keep ourselves in a frame of a God made in God, of a person made in God's image. And was this too philosophical, or did I make myself clear? I think it was a little bit philosophical.
Oh, it's very clear to me. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I think it's maybe a little deep, but I'm not. I'm going on to the next one. Okay. So yes, I'm going to go down to here. So wait, did I answer the reason why he thought that it was so important to write about it? Was it, I guess, just because it's as important as teaching a person to keep the dignity of a human being created in the image of God. It's the basics of how we present ourselves in the world is keeping a clean tongue and clean speech, just as the other mitzvot keep us in the same shape that is related to being a dignified person. Okay, so we're on the next. So I put in four pictures, and I would like you to think of 4 types of bad speech and try to categorize them into 4 different types.
Yeah, for example, the birds, they are talking, that's like I'm talking with another person about a third person, and perhaps I will talk bad things about the third person, and that's not okay.
Okay.
And
Do you have a name for that?
Sorry?
Would you have a name for that category?
Yeah, I think that's Lashon Hara. Lashon Hara. No?
So Lashon Hara is a category. You're right. Absolutely. Lashon Hara is a category. And we will speak about every one of these 4 types and see what's unique about it. Okay, good. Any other guesses about different parts and different thoughts about the pictures that I chose?
Yeah, the bottom one, I'm thinking kind of destructive speech,
Okay.
like
Okay.
saying something that's maybe untruthful.
Okay, saying something that's untruthful is definitely another category. Absolutely. It's in a category of itself.
Okay,
Any
I'll
other
go with the
ideas?
What's Up app.
Hello?
I'll go with the What's Up app. It's
Yes.
idle gossip.
Idle gossip. Could you explain that, please?
Just talking about nothing particular, nothing important, just rambling on about nothing.
Okay, that's interesting. WhatsApp does have that quality, absolutely, many times. Okay.
I could say that the first picture about the emojis is when we put down people or make fun of them. The other one when we heard about what they have to say about others. The WhatsApp is well, gossiping and listen what other people has to say. And the last one in the middle is like is something in the Lashon Hara teaching that is like what rests in the air about Lashon Hara. I don't remember how it is called. How it is called.
Okay. Thank you. These are interesting ideas that you bring up, and I think every one of you that said things have definitely parts of them together. So I gave every one of the pictures a name and a title underneath, and maybe the pictures don't match exactly, but we will talk about every one of the pictures. So the bad tongue, as if I'm not mistaken, one of you mentioned, I don't remember exactly, and then we have the gossip, which is different than the bad tongue in certain ways. There's spreading false rumors, which is the picture of the WhatsApp, and the dust of bad tongue, which is actually a translation from Hebrew. I don't know if you understand what it means, but you will understand for sure. So let's start with the bad tongue. So the bad tongue expresses true, unpleasant facts about an individual or a group. Okay, so first of all, I think that's one of the important things, is that we need to know that bad tongue is true. It's not a lie. There are many things in the world that are truthful. Okay, and I think that's the power of the tongue, is to say true things. And yet, what do we learn from the fact that it's forbidden? I'm asking you to think, what do we learn from the fact that true things are still forbidden? What lesson can we learn from this?
Because the other person is, we are putting down the other person. Because it's not true that are positive. It's that those are truths that are negative, I think.
Yes, they're negative, unpleasant facts.
So we are putting the other person down. That is my guessing.
Okay, yes. But I think we also, any other ideas before I go about explaining myself?
Yeah, if it's kind of adding, like, it's not good to say bad true things, because it's kind of adding yourself to it as well. Probably repeating
That's
something.
very interesting. Absolutely. You're touching a point of the spies who were sent to Israel in the desert. You know the story?
Yeah, the 10 spies, or 12.
Right.
Well,
No,
12,
the 10,
but kind
you're
of
right.
10. Yeah.
Good. So when they came back, they did not say false things, but they gave their own opinion, which they were not asked to, and that was called Lashon Hara. So I think the main point here is that it's a combination of what you were saying. Something that is true. Sometimes we put truth up on a pedestal, right? Oh, that's the truth, right? Amen. That's the truth. That's the truth. My mom used to say that a person who was killed in an accident was on his grave. There was a sign saying, "Here lies the man who had the right of way." She was trying to tell us, be smart. Don't be right. Being right is not the main issue in life. You don't always have to have the right, the truth. That's not the most important thing. I think the Torah is teaching us that there's something beyond being right. There's something beyond the truth, and which is called shalom. And shalom is not something that is false, but shalom has its own value, which sometimes comes up and is even more important than the truth. And there are stories in the Torah that can emphasize this. I'm going to lose my ability to be on time if I go into it too much, but maybe I will touch it in different times. That the bad tongue says that when it comes on the account of a person being offended, then the person being offended is more important sometimes than saying the right thing. Of course, it has circumstances, it has laws, it has explanations, but we have to remember that when we express true, unpleasant, negative facts about an individual or groups, this is forbidden. Okay, this is the differential. This is the what is it called? Ouch, I forgot the word. Definition. This is the definition of the word of the concept bad tongue. Okay, bad, true facts. Okay. And if we take for an example, we have two examples here. Lately, Mary hasn't been showing up to work on time. What's up with her? Like, right? Like, that's a sentence that could be anywhere. Does anybody else have an example of something like that? We meet at work, or we meet in school, or with family. A true fact that is not necessarily complimentary. Does anybody have an example from their own life of something they can think of? No? Okay.
Yeah, I got
Another
a-
Talking, talking
Yeah.
about the weight of somebody,
Oh,
or
absolutely.
saying that somebody look good or better than before or whatever, implying the weight or something.
That is a totally different thing that you're speaking about, which is very important. That has to do with the dust. Oh, she's looking
Okay.
good today. She looks good, right? Today she looks good, or she's looking good for a change. So that's a different type of talk,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
I got a
Now, one
question.
more. Well, excuse me.
I got a question. Uh,
Yes.
Your example, lately Mary hasn't been showing up for work on time. Is that a bad tongue if you're talking like, what can we do for her to get her showing up? I mean, where do you draw the line on something like that? I don't understand that at all. Where that line is that you're concerned and you're going to try and help her, or you're just talking about it.
That's exactly it. And thank you for your wonderful, wonderful question, because there is a line. Absolutely. And you said that, you said the line, you said it by saying, am I trying to help her? Or is there absolutely nothing to what I'm saying? I remember I used to work in a kindergarten, and there was a line about tattletaling or reporting. And the kindergarten teacher was saying to the children, are you trying to help her, get her out of trouble, or getting her into trouble? Right? So if we are out to help a person, there are also rules that help us decide, are we helping or are we making a problem for someone? But definitely your observation is very, very correct, because if we are trying to help Mary, maybe something's happening at home. Maybe she's not well. Maybe we heard people saying something about it, and we need to make her aware of something that she's not aware of. So that would be a helpful type of speech, which is important. It's our duty to help. So there will be this. I will first finish explaining the types, and then we will definitely talk about when is it bad tongue and when is it not. Let me just explain, if you may, the concept itself, and then we'll go into when yes and when no. Okay. The kids in the high school are very misbehaved in this high school. When we're talking about a group of people that they are like this or like that, that would be not an individual bad tongue, but about a group. And that's just as bad, if not even worse. Okay, because saying bad things about a group brings hate, it brings prejudice, opinions about groups it doesn't add to the peace in the world. So we will go to the next one, which is gossip. And it took me years to understand the difference between both, but I think I am able to understand it and explain. So when we're spreading unpleasant true information from one to another, like a merchant or like a carrier during Corona, we take it from one person and we pass it on to the next person. And that person passes it on to a next person. And what is it? The example would be, I heard that Jesse told Oliver, which means I'm not saying Oliver has gained weight, right? That would be bad tongue. But I would be saying, I heard that Jesse told Oliver that he was the worst player on the team. Okay, so this kind of talk is called gossip. We're just passing on something, like a merchant with his merchandise goes from one place to another place. He sells it to people, so someone will listen to me while I'm talking. I'm keeping my mouth busy. I'm talking, but it's not useful. It might be even harmful. It might make people fight or people not dislike each other. So this is forbidden. Again, this is spreading true information. It's not false. It's not lies. Okay. I heard Rachel making fun of Shauna's new hairstyle. So I'm not making fun, but I heard Rachel making fun. So are you trying to be helpful? Are you trying to be useful by saying that? Or are you just talking like birds twitting to each other? That's called gossip. Is that clear? Okay.
Yes, it is.
And I think this would be the worst of all if I had to rank them. So spreading false rumors is spreading false negative information about an individual or group. And that's why I put the picture of the WhatsApp, because WhatsApp has the ability to spread. Okay. But even if you don't spread it, you just tell one person, you make up a story about someone that's not true. or you don't even bother checking out information. Hi, welcome to our group. Even if people say it and I just meet a friend and I make up a story, or I don't check out the information well enough, or I add my own information that I'm not so sure about that's true or not true, are all considered spreading false rumors, which is worse than bad tongue, because bad tongue is true, but spreading rumors that are false are worse. Okay, Helen is the one who caused Tim and Rachel to break up, and that's, for example, not true. Okay, so now people will make a hustle and bustle about this, or think bad of other people, and it's not even their fault. It's not even true. Or the new immigrants in our neighborhood are spreading diseases, which is false. It's not even, it's somebody just saying things, and how much hatred does that bring in? And there's been a lot of this in history, and it caused many, many problems. And do you know what is this familiar to you? Am I saying things that you are aware of, that these things happen? You recognize this in speech?
Everywhere, all
Yeah.
the time.
Right, okay. Could you give me one platform where there are many times this type of, where we meet this on a daily basis, even sometimes?
At work.
Work, people who just don't check out information.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Newspapers, media, right. The last category is called the dust of bad tongue. And because I brought the picture of dust, because dust is something. What is special about dust? If you walk through dust, you don't even see it sometimes. But for those who clean a house, they know how much the dust is there, how dusty things get, and how it disturbs. And it's very much there. It has a smell. It gathers, and it creates a dirty look, and it's not a good thing, right? A good housekeeper does not want to have dust in her house. So what is actually the dust of bad tongue? The dust hints about something negative or referring to an issue of bad tongue without saying it explicitly or in a direct way. Which means that by giving a hint to something bad without saying it, like you said before, Raquel, right? You're looking good for a change, right? What does that mean, the change? What are you saying about my normal looks exactly? Or lately, she's been acting like a human being, right? Like wow, lately now he's a really nice guy. I won't even tell you what happened when he was what kind of a kid he was when he was growing up. Or two examples that are brought in the book are Eric is such a you know what? Never mind. We better not mention it. Right? Not finishing the sentence, but leaving enough scope for the imagination to go on. But so Eric has something going on that I'm not supposed to know. Okay. Or we better not discuss what Debbie said to Neil last night. Okay, that's enough of a hint to know that something went on there. So those are the 4 types. And many times a person who is used to talking about, just used to talking and not paying attention to what he does, has the ability within a short time to do all 4. Bring in all of these types of bad speech into his daily being. And I think the first step to guard our tongue is to be aware of what it is, of the parts, like when we want to go on a diet. So we learn about carbohydrates and vitamins, and about oils and sugars, and what is there more? I forgot. But we learn about the certain types, and we know what we need to keep away from. But the moment we can give them a name, then we're more aware. So the first step of going to guard our speech is to know what we have, what is out there, what are the types of speech that we need to keep away from. And I think that if I ask you now, what do we need to do? in order to speak good speech, we can learn from the bad how to get to the good. So what would be number one rule? After learning all of these, if we want to say something, what does it have to be? What kind of talk does it need to be?
Positive.
Positive is a good idea, definitely, or for a positive reason.
And it have to be the truth.
It needs to be true, absolutely. Positive, true, necessary.
Yeah, I want to say necessary. Yeah.
Good, good. Okay,
No, something that builds somebody else up.
very good. I think even just like sometimes thinking about what we're saying, taking a minute to think, what category does it go into? Am I saying something necessary? Am I making sure it's good? Am I sure it's true? Is this an interpretation of mine, or is it really true? So those are good questions to ask ourselves. Maybe this week, I wanted to give you a task to take upon yourselves to think about certain things that we say, and to try to see what category they go into there. Are they necessary? Are they important? Are they kind, positive? Are they true? These points that came up, and I know I'm going to be finishing, so I will skip the last one and just go to the end and bring in something nice. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. Would someone be kind enough to read them to us?
I can.
Okay, thank you.
Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people.
You like that?
Yeah, it's very true, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I saw it a while ago and I thought I have to find somewhere to bring it in. I like that very much. So I will actually finish the lesson for today, and we will continue next time, God willing. We will continue discussing the matter of the bad tongue in private, in our private being, and also in public. So we will bring contrast and bring ideas. So for next time, if you would like to write down your mission, try to notice parts of speech, where they belong to, which category do they belong to? Are they truthful? Are they necessary? Are they kind? And for what purpose are they made? Are they
Sarah,
spoken? Ken.
first of all, thank you very, very much, Sarah, for this lesson. And we are
You're
meeting
very
also
welcome.
next week at this time, and I will send also reminds. אני מציע שתשאלי רגע כל אחד שיגיד במילה, את יודעת, משהו שהוא לקח מעצמו בשיעור הזה. אני יודע שהזמן עובר, אבל תעשי בכל זאת.
Okay, I will ask one question and then we will part. Can you tell me each one thing that you take with you from this lesson? One point for the next week, or that you take with you.
For me, it would be that I have to train myself to think before I speak.
Okay, that's a big mission. Wow, thank you.
For me, it's the 4 different types of slander or whatever that I need to watch.
Okay, there's the gossip, the bad tongue, the spreading rumors, and the dust.
Yeah.
The hints. Okay, very good. Thank you. Anyone
For me,
else?
it's the point that that you can say with true things. You are saying you can also do bad things. I think that's important for me.
Interesting point. Thank you. Yes.
I think that you can think anything you want, but you can't say everything you think, whether it's true or false. Sometimes truth can hurt also. And is it necessary? And if it's necessary, what was the purpose for your saying it in the first place? Think anything you want, but don't say everything you think.
That's a good point to start with. Absolutely. That's the good thing to put it through a sift and be able to think, is this going to be helpful? Is it not going to be helpful? Like before, like the question that came up before. Thank you. And we have one more person, right? I'm sorry, I didn't ask for your name, so I don't know your name.
Who, me?
No.
Me, you mean? Dale?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't ask for your name.
Yes. It's probably already been said, but the main thought I got is, what's the purpose of what I'm saying?
Right. Wow. Wow. Thank you very much, everyone. I love hearing your ideas and your contribution to this class. Thank you so much for attending. And I'm sorry for taking up 4 minutes of your time that were not intended. So I will, God willing, see you next week. Thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you.
Sarah.
Shalom.
All the best. Shalom uvracha.